Let us talk about hierarchies in Jira. Now, if you're using Jira Premium, then you might want to set up hierarchies in your Jira instance. Now, by default in Jira, we have, of course, Epic, and then under an Epic, you have stories, and then task, and the very last level is your subtask. But when you're using Jira Premium, you can create more levels on top of your Epic. Now, a typical hierarchy could be on top of your Epic, you can have features, or maybe on top of your Epic, you can have maybe initiatives, right? And the very topmost level could be your capability or goal. So, usually, based on my experience working with clients, I see that people create these hierarchies based on their company's best practices. Maybe they want to follow a structure when it comes to delivery. So typically you would see something like goal, then initiative, and then epic. You can also have initiative, feature, and then your epics. So my recommendation would be that you should only have, to keep things simple, you should only have two more levels. I think the topmost level should be something like a goal or a strategic goal. Then you should have initiative, and then of course your usual hierarchy like epic, and then stories. Good thing about this hierarchy is that you can have multiple issue types mapped to the same level. For example, maybe you want to have initiative slash feature, and you can map your initiative issue type along with feature issue type. Similarly, for the topmost level, you can have goal slash capability, or maybe a strategic goal. Now, I am making this video to talk about why you should be very careful when it comes to the hierarchies in Jira. Now, the very first thing is when you create these hierarchies, you are actually creating these hierarchies across your Jira instance. So you can't really have a project-specific hierarchy. You can't really have one project where you have on top initiative, then you have goals. And maybe in another project, you have goals and then initiatives under it. So basically, when you create these levels in Jira, what you can do is based on your requirement, you can skip maybe the topmost level, right? So maybe you can have a project where you just have features and then everything under it. Or maybe you have just initiative, then epic. You can ignore the topmost level, and that is totally fine. But when it comes to these hierarchies, you need to be careful because you cannot really change these hierarchies frequently. I mean, of course you can, but it will have a lot of impact on your reporting, the way your projects are structured. Maybe in some companies, people follow or try to follow some scale agile methodologies like SAFe, for example, or maybe some version of SAFe. But you can't really just one day wake up and decide, okay, let me just remove or change the levels in my Jira plan or advanced roadmaps hierarchies. So just think about what you think will work for your organization. And it is not just the decision of Jira admin. Of course, Jira admins or Jira consultants can be or should be part of this discussion, but it's a broader discussion. You should basically sit down with all the stakeholders and of course maybe create some kind of a slide deck. I know usually when you work with stakeholders, they prefer some kind of a PowerPoint or some kind of a deck. It is totally okay, but involve your Jira admin, involve your Jira consultant, if you have a Jira consultant, in those discussions, because someone with Jira experience can tell you or maybe warn you or maybe give you some pointers and give you some ideas, because end of the day, you're doing things in Jira. So if you involve your Jira consultants, then they can definitely help. But when it comes to the hierarchies in Jira, as I mentioned before, keep it simple. Strategic goal followed by initiative, and then of course your epic and then stories will work. But you may want to have in some projects maybe a slightly different hierarchy. And for that, what I recommend is use a plugin like Structure or maybe JXL, because what you can do using these plugins you can actually use issue links. So these plugins, these apps can let you create your own view based on either your standard issue type hierarchies in Jira, or you can also use your issue linking, because issue linking is nothing but a way to link or have some kind of a reference or relationship between two issues in Jira. And when you have these issue links, you can then use these apps to visualize your relationships. So maybe you have a standard hierarchy where majority of projects are using goals followed by initiative and then epics. But in some projects, maybe you want to have something like feature in between your initiative and epics, which of course you can't do without disturbing the whole Jira instance. In that case, of course, maybe create an issue link and then use these apps. So just wanted to give you some pointers. And when it comes to changing these hierarchies, if you think you need to change these hierarchies, then of course think about all those downstream applications. Maybe you have Power BI reports, maybe you have Easy BI reports, maybe you have some other tools pulling data from Jira and then doing something with it. Maybe you have some SharePoint sites where Jira data is being pulled in and you are getting some decks for your stakeholders to visualize, right? So when it comes to changing hierarchies, think about all these things that might get affected. Of course, try not to change. And in those cases where you have to change, then you need to be very careful and you need to be aware of the impact. So I thought I'll probably talk about these things and give you some ideas. When it comes to hierarchies in Jira, you need to think very carefully before you set them in your Jira instance. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.